In this video I'm going to show you how I built this simple mitre saw station for cutting pieces of wood to length.
The design centres around the build of 2 workbenches and the mitre saw sits in between. Check out my other video on how to build the workbench for the design. I start out by cutting the supports for the mitre saw on my mitre saw to length. The supports are attached by 70mm screws, so I first drill pilot holes. I clamp the supports to the workbench and then check for the height according to the height of the mitre saw table. The height on my mitre saw table is 97mm. Because I'm using 5mm diameter screws, I use an extra long pilot bit and drill through the support and into the leg of the workbench. The supports are then screwed into the legs of the workbench. I then do a final check for level to make sure that the height is exactly what I need it to be for the mitre saw table. After taking down the dimensions of the width of my mitre saw, I cut a piece of 18mm plywood to the correct size. With both the supports in place, I then place the piece of plywood that I've cut on top, align the workbenches and make sure it's all sitting at the right height. To give the station extra strength and rigidity, I'm running extra supports across the back, the middle and the front. With the base in place, I align the supports and pilot hole and screw them in. I do this at the front and the back. I actually used pocket hole screws for the ones in the middle because it was a bit difficult. I did this off camera.
It was a bit of a snug fit, but got there in the end.
To check the top of the workbench is level with the mitre saw, I use a metal ruler and slide it across. It doesn't catch and doesn't rock, so I know it's exactly the right height. Once I'm happy with everything, I pilot and screw the plywood into the supports to make sure it's nice and rigid and solid and that it's not going to move around. With the stand for the mitre saw complete, it's time to build the fence. The main body of the fence is using 18mm plywood, but to secure the fence to the workbench I'm going to use some aluminium angle. Into the fence I recess this aluminium T-track. It's for the stop block to run along and it makes it nice and smooth and straight. Before doing so I measure the width of the T-track so I know the depth of the hole that I need to cut into the fence itself. To cut the dado into the fence I use my table saw. It doesn't take a dado sack, so I'm going to have to do lots of different passes. I do a test cut to make sure that the depth is exactly what I need it to be. With the depth as I want it, I then run the fence through the mitre saw several times until I'm happy with the size of the dado and check that the T-track fits properly. The T-track screwed into the fence using some small screws. I use a hinge drill bit to make sure that the screw holes are fully centered before screwing them in.
I'm going to use this tape measure. It's a Craig one. It's self-adhesive, so I'm going to stick it along, because it runs from right to left. I'm going to stick it all the way along the top, and I'm going to cut a little rebate in the top for it to sit in. It'll only be tiny. I'm just going to leave a lip on this side here. Rebate there. Tape measure is going to go in here, and this will be the lip.
I align my table saw and then run the fence through the table saw to cut the rebate. It leaves about a 2mm lip at the end. To secure the fence to the workbench, I'm going to use this aluminium angle. I got the idea from Rag and Bone Brown. Check out his YouTube channel, he's got some great videos. I'll put a link in the description. To mark the holes for drilling, I use an automatic centre punch. I find them a great tool. They're brilliant for marking small holes in both wood and metal. The angle's secured to the fence and the workbench using washer head screws. Before putting the screws through it, I drill holes with my pillar drill. The aluminium angle is secured to the fence before securing it to the workbench. It just makes it easier and ensures it's lined up. To secure the fence to the workbench, I use a straight edge clamp to the mitre saw and then align the fence to the straight edge and screw it into the workbench. There's probably about 20 screws in it to make sure it doesn't move around. I didn't film them all. That's the end of this video. I hope you found it useful. It's just part 1. Please check out part 2 for how I built the stop block.